lay sprawled on the marble, motionless, helpless. Her hair fanned out, dark against the cold floor. Panic erupted. People rushed to her side, hands trembling, voices shouting. Some bent down, checking her pulse. Others tried to push the crowd back, making space. Drinks toppled, stools overturned. The music thumped faintly, drowned out by screams and confusion. Everyone was moving, shouting, trying to save her. Every second felt longer, every heartbeat louder. Hands shook as they tried to lift her. Feet stamped as the crowd pushed to get closer. The club, once a playground of laughter and indulgence, had turned into chaos. In the middle of it all stood Victor, calm, sharp. His suit unwrinkled, hair untouched, eyes dark, scanning the scene. He knelt briefly, brushing the girl's hair away, checking if she was okay, but the crowd didn't see help. All they saw was him near the girl at the moment of the fall. Whispers spread fast. "It's him! He did this!" Fingers pointed, eyes stared, suspicion growing. Even in his calm, everyone felt the tension, felt the danger. He did nothing wrong, yet all the attention turned toward him. Every movement was watched, every glance misread. People around the girl were frantic. They shouted, they shook her gently, they tried to comfort her. Every voice mixed into a chaotic hum of fear and confusion. Phones were raised to capture the moment, flashes going off, recording the panic. Victor stayed still. He did not speak. Words would be useless. Every gesture might be taken the wrong way. He simply remained calm amid the storm, a lone figure in the chaos, silent but visible. The girl did not move. Her eyes fluttered briefly, then closed. The panic grew. People cried out. Someone called the police. Someone else tried to get the club staff to help. The air thickened with urgency, each second heavier than the last. Officers arrived quickly, parting the crowd. They moved to secure the scene. Every hand that touched Victor pulled him gently yet firmly, leading him away. He did not resist, though every eye followed him, judging, accusing, whispering. Victor's expression remained unreadable, calm, composed, controlled. Every step he took was measured, every breath silent. Yet the crowd already decided. Their fear and confusion had found a target. The calm man in the middle of the chaos, Victor, had become the center of blame. Somewhere in the shadows, Alexander watched, silent, unseen. He didn't step forward, he didn't react. His eyes followed every movement, every whisper, every accusation. The scene unfolded perfectly. The panic, the chaos, the fear, all concentrated on Victor, and nobody noticed him. Victor was led out, handcuffed. The murmurs of the crowd following him like waves. He did it. He's the one. The girl on the floor, the frantic crowd, the flashing lights, the shouting, all locked in a tense, frozen moment of accusation and fear. The club, once alive with music, laughter, and celebration, now felt heavy with suspense. One man blamed, one girl helpless, one silent observer in the shadows, and one story that had only just begun.
The city lights shimmered under the night sky, painting the streets in gold and neon. High above, in a mansion perched on a hill, Alexander moved through his domain like a king in a palace. Every corner reflected wealth: polished marble floors, towering chandeliers, rare artwork, and shelves lined with the finest books. Luxury wasn't just a word for him, it was life itself. Victor, the head of Alexander's boys, stood near the grand staircase, calm and alert. His presence alone commanded respect. Each of Alexander's boys moved with purpose, glancing toward Victor for guidance. Elias, quiet and observant, lingered in the shadows, making sure everything ran smoothly without anyone noticing. Alexander walked to the balcony, looking down at his collection of sports cars parked perfectly on the driveway. Each vehicle gleamed under the spotlight, as if reflecting his own power. He ran a hand along the railing, eyes sharp, calculating, always observing. This was not a man who acted on impulse. Every move was measured, every word weighed. Victor approached him, bowing slightly. "Everything is ready," he said. His voice was calm, but there was strength beneath it. "The boys are in place, the cars prepared. We can leave whenever you wish." Alexander turned slowly, a faint smile crossing his face. "Good," he said, his voice smooth, confident. "Tonight is just another evening. Keep it simple, keep it clean." Elias stepped forward, carrying a small briefcase. He handed it to Alexander without a word, then took his place beside Victor, scanning the rooms as if ready for trouble. Alexander didn't need to check. He knew Elias would notice anything out of place before it even happened. The mansion was alive with movement. Boys checking equipment, organizing their tasks, quietly laughing among themselves. Alexander walked through them, like a conductor passing among his orchestra. Each person moved instinctively, as if reading his mind, following orders without hesitation. After a while, Alexander made his way to the garage. The doors opened slowly, revealing a row of sleek, luxury cars. He stepped into a black sports car, Victor at the wheel of another, Elias in the back, and the rest of the boys following in matching vehicles. The engines roared to life, low and powerful, echoing through the neighborhood. As they drove through the city streets, Alexander leaned back, letting the world flow past him. Neon signs flickered in the glass of the skyscrapers. The city was alive, but Alexander's mind was calm, focused. Everything was as it should be. The cars moved like a small army under Victor's watchful eye, every detail perfect, every route calculated. They reached the club district. Music spilled from every building, bass thumping like a heartbeat. Alexander's convoy slowed as Victor guided the cars to a private entrance. The valet recognized him immediately and stepped aside with a nervous bow. Inside, the club was alive with lights and laughter. Velvet ropes separated the VIP area from the crowd, but Alexander and his entourage moved through as if the rules did not apply to them. Victor positioned the boys strategically, ensuring Alexander's path was clear. Elias moved quietly among them, scanning the crowd, making sure no one would interfere. Alexander entered the main area, calm, observing. People noticed him. Whispers spread. Some admired him. Others feared him, sensing the power in his presence. He smiled faintly but said nothing. Words were not needed here. His presence alone was command. The club was vibrant. Flashing Victor stayed close, eyes sharp. He noticed subtle movements in the crowd. A man leaning too close to someone else. A boy holding a camera, the way people whispered and pointed. Victor's role was clear. Nothing, no one, would interfere with Alexander tonight. Elias mirrored him, calm and quiet, blending into the shadows, making sure the path remained clear. Alexander approached the VIP section, a space reserved for him and his closest allies. The boys gathered around him, quiet but alert. Conversations were few. They didn't need them. Alexander gave a small nod, and the boys understood. Drinks were brought, tables cleared, everything controlled. Minutes passed. The music pulsed, crowd energy high, but Alexander remained still, observing. Every gesture, every glance, every movement in the club was noted. Victor made subtle adjustments, ensuring nothing would disturb the order. Elias moved silently through the periphery, keeping everything calm. The girl passed again, closer to the center of the floor. No one noticed her, not yet. Alexander leaned back, drink in hand, studying the room. His expression unreadable, eyes sharp. He was calm, confident, untouchable. Victor and Elias stood on either side, guardians in silence. This was the world Alexander had built: wealth, power, loyalty, control. The crowd around them laughed, danced, shouted. Drinks spilled, hands reached out, music blared. Alexander didn't move unnecessarily. His presence alone shaped the flow of the room. Victor nodded subtly to one of the boys. A small adjustment, nothing dramatic, but enough to ensure control. Elias moved near the exit, quiet, alert. And there she was, the girl, now moving through the crowd. Her attention on friends, on music, on lights. She didn't notice Alexander, nor Victor, nor Elias. She was part of this world, yet separate, unnoticed, a small detail in a large, controlled empire. Alexander raised his glass subtly, observing the energy, the chaos of enjoyment, the loyalty of his boys, the life he had created. This was luxury. This was control. This was the calm before the storm. And somewhere in the shadows, the music thumped. Lights flashed across the club. Bottles clinked. People laughed and danced. Alexander sat in the VIP area. His jacket was perfect, his hair untouched. Elias stood beside him. His boys moved around him like shadows. Everything was controlled, perfect, luxurious. Across the floor, a girl danced. She moved freely. She wasn't looking for anyone's attention. She wasn't showing off. Alexander noticed her. Their eyes met for a moment. She looked away. She didn't care about him. Alexander leaned back and looked calm. He signaled Victor. Victor walked carefully through the crowd. He reached the girl and said politely, "Alexander asked you to come join him." She shook her head. "No, thank you," she said gently. Victor nodded and walked back to Alexander. A few minutes passed. The music continued. Drinks clinked. People laughed and danced around them. Alexander signaled Victor again. Victor returned and said, "He asks again?" The girl looked at him and smiled politely but shook her head. Victor nodded and returned. After a short pause, Alexander sent Victor a third time. The girl refused again. She stayed firm. Victor gave a small sigh and returned to Alexander. He understood. The girl did not want to come. Alexander got up. Slowly, calmly, he walked across the VIP area himself. He stopped in front of the girl. He smiled slightly. "Dance with me," he said. She shook her head. "No, thank you," she said clearly. Alexander stepped a little closer. He didn't yell. He didn't grab her. He tried to stall, to convince her, to use his power and presence. She held her ground. The club continued to dance and laugh around them. No one noticed the tension. Suddenly she slipped. A heel caught something. She lost her balance. She fell backward. Her head hit the marble floor. Blood spread quickly. Silence fell for a second. Then people screamed. The music stopped. Drinks toppled. People shouted. Phones were raised. Some recorded. Hands reached to try to lift her. Feet stamped. People pushed and pulled to get close. Victor didn't run. He didn't panic. He knelt beside the girl. He pressed his jacket on her wound. "Stay with me! Someone call an ambulance!" he shouted. His hands were shaking, but he stayed calm enough to help. But the crowd didn't understand. They only saw Victor kneeling over her. Whispers spread fast. "He did this! Look at him!" Fingers pointed. Eyes stared. Everyone thought Victor caused it. Someone in the crowd finally shouted, "Call the police!" Sirens began to echo faintly in the distance. The club felt heavy. Panic spread like fire. When the police arrived, they pushed through the shouting crowd. They tried to take Victor away. Only then did Victor notice something chilling. His boys, the ones who always protected him, were gone. Alexander and the other boys had already left. No one was there to back him up. Victor tried to explain. He pointed to the girl. He shouted she fell. But no one listened. The police handcuffed him. They led him out of the club. The crowd murmured and whispered, pointing fingers at him. Outside, Alexander and his boys drove away in silence, untouched. Victor's eyes followed them. He felt betrayed. He felt trapped. He looked back at the girl on the floor, helpless and bleeding. Was Victor really responsible for what happened? Alexandra Pierce pushed open the club doors, Elias and the boys laughing behind him. The bass thumped through the floor, neon lights cutting across the crowd, painting their faces in red, blue, and green. Glasses clinked as they made their way to their corner. Alexandra spun his drink, smirked, and raised his hand to Elias. "Feels good to be back," Elias said, grinning. "Let's remind them why this place is ours," Alexandra replied. They moved through the crowd, bumping shoulders, exchanging jokes, toasting to familiar faces. The music pulsed through their bodies, the lights reflecting in their glasses. Every laugh, every gesture, every glance spoke of power, freedom, and dominance. Victor Hale sat stiffly in the courtroom, his hands gripping the edge of the table. Papers lay before him, detailing accusations he hadn't committed. The prosecutor's voice was sharp, measured, cutting through the tension. Victor's eyes lingered on a ring in his pocket, the wedding that should have happened weeks ago. The flowers, the ceremony, the vows, stolen by circumstances he could not control. Detective Mara stood to the side, observing, her coat buttoned, her posture rigid yet calm. Victor's sister-in-law. Her eyes were steady, calculating. She had a plan. Justice would not fail this time. Mara entered a private office where Detective Marie sat behind a desk stacked with files. "You have access?" Mara asked. Marie slid an envelope across the desk. CCTV cleared. Every frame intact. Mara pressed her lips together. "We need every second. No mistakes." The club vibrated around Alexandra and the boys. Drinks raised, laughter spilling over the music. They moved like they owned the space, each step confident, each gesture bold. They were untouchable, invincible. Mara and Marie worked side by side in a dim room, eyes fixed on flickering screens. Fingers hovered over keyboards, scanning every movement, every shadow. "Pause it there," Mara said, pointing. "Look closely." Marie leaned forward. No detail missed. "Every frame counts." The club erupted with energy. Alexandra spun, laughing, raising his glass to Elias. They danced, drank, celebrated, completely unaware of the storm forming in the screens elsewhere. The CCTV footage revealed the moment that would expose everything. Victor had been said twice, harmlessly, but Alexandra finally approached himself. He tried to assert control, to bend the situation to his will. On the third encounter, the moment spiraled. The girl stumbled, her head striking the table. The frame froze, showing the full incident. Mara exhaled slowly. "This is it. The truth." Marie's hand hovered over the keyboard. "We take this straight to Officer Daniels. He will review it and confirm." Mara nodded. They walked into the precinct and handed the evidence to Officer Daniels. He scrolled through the footage, eyes narrowing, jaw tightening. He paused the frame at the critical moment. "Yes," he said finally. "This confirms it. The crime is real. We move immediately." The mansion doors opened, music thumping, drinks flowing. Alexandra and the boys moved freely, celebrating, laughing, toasting to their freedom. Their faces glowed with confidence, every gesture a statement. They were kings of this world, unaware that it was about to collapse. Police sirens cut through the night as officers moved in with precise commands. "Hands where I can see them!" Alexandra froze. Elias tensed. The boys scrambled briefly, realization hitting. The handcuffs clicked. Shock and disbelief washed over their faces. Their empire had crumbled in seconds. Mara stepped forward calmly, eyes scanning every move. Marie was beside her, composed. Every action measured, every step deliberate. Alexandra, Elias, and the boys had no escape. They were escorted past the gates, the mansion silent, empty of music and laughter. Victor Hales stepped forward, finally free. Relief spread across his face. Mara watched, steady, satisfaction hidden behind her composed exterior. As the group was led away, Mara's voice carried over the scene naturally, firm but calm. "No one is above the law. Every action has its consequence. Justice always finds a way." The city lay quiet beyond the mansion. Alexandra Pierce, Elias, and the boys, once untouchable, now faced the consequences of their actions. Victor Hales could reclaim his life. Justice, patient and relentless, had prevailed. Mara stood by, her eyes calm as Alexandra Pierce and his boys were led away in handcuffs. She watched Victor Hales take a deep breath, finally free from the shadow that had weighed him down for so long. "No one is above the law," Mara said quietly, her voice steady. "Every choice we make carries its weight. Justice, it always finds a way."